Hi, this is Pavel, and this is part 4 of a C# project where we are creating a poker game. So we have our card class, we have deck of cards, and we have a drawing engine that draws and encodes the cards and displays the outline of the card and the symbol, like hearts, diamond, or the suit, hearts, diamond, spades, and clubs. It determines which one it is, and then draws it within the outline of the card. So now what we need to actually deal the cards. We already shuffled them in our deck of cards. We set it up, we populated it, we shuffled it. Now it's shuffled, we can deal the cards. So I'm gonna create a class. I'll call it DealCards. And well, first thing what we need an array of cards for the computer and for the player. So I'll just call it player hand and card, and this is gonna be computer hand. Now first you get the cards randomly. They're shuffled, they're random, but we need to sort them out. This is gonna help us tremendously to determine the hand of each computer and the player. If they're in order, we will be able to determine what is the highest card, which obviously will be the last one, which one is the smallest, which is the first one, and we will be able to order them. So I'm gonna create another array which is gonna hold the same card as player hand, but it's gonna be sorted. So I'll just call it sorted player hand, private card, and it's gonna be sorted computer hand. Now let's do the constructor deal cards. We don't need any arguments, and we initialize it via we initialize each of these arrays to hold 5 indexes or 5 cards. We are playing 5 cards hand. So player hand equals new card, and it's 5. Oh, not 50. And I'm just gonna copy paste this. So it's gonna be player, or it's gonna be sorted player hand. This is gonna be computer hand, and this is gonna be sorted computer hand. That's a capital P. Alright, so these are our arrays, each 5 elements. Again, when we deal the cards, player will have a hand of 5 cards, but then we will sort them. And instead of using the same array, I'm just using a different one, and I populate it with the same cards, but in a sorted order. So now we can deal the cards. So public void deal. Now deal will consist of several actions. First, we need to call the setup deck on our deck of cards. We need to first get the actual cards. So we will call set up. Oh, you know what? I forgot. We're dealing cards from the deck of cards, so we need to inherit from deck of cards. Now we will actually have an access to it. So setup deck. So we just call that. And this basically create the deck of cards and shuffle them. Remember, we're calling setup deck over here to populate the arrays with the array with the cards, but then within that function we are calling shuffle cards. So what is gonna be returned to us is a shuffled deck. Well, it's not gonna be returned because the arrays will be populated with that. the deck itself that we have an access to because we are inheriting. Okay, so come on, deal cards, here it is. So now we set up the deck. Now we can get a hand for each, for the computer and for the player. So I'm gonna create public void get hand, and over here I'll simply call it so get hand. Next thing, so this is gonna populate a player hand and a computer hand. Now we're gonna sort it. So the next thing I wanna do is do public void sort cards, and this will give us the sorted player hand and sorted computer hand. So from the deal, after we get the hand, we will sort it. So we will call these sort cards. The next, now we have the sorted hand. Let's display it. All right. So we go to public void display cards. So this is gonna display our sorted hand. So let me just display cards. We'll call that method. So now we have the cards, they're displayed, and what's left is to evaluate the hand, or both of them, for computer and for the player, and determine who won. So public void, and it's gonna be I'll just call it evaluate hands. So I'll just come over here and call the evaluate hands function. So this is the progression of how to, you know, deal the cards, sort the cards, display the cards, and then evaluate and determine the winner. So we got the setup deck, which is in our deck of cards class. So now let's get the hand, and it's gonna be a simple just simple loops, one for the player, one for the computer. So I equals 0, I is less than 5, and we will simply get a hand plus player I equals get deck, whatever is on the top, which is the same index. And so we get 5 cards for the player, 5 cards for the player, and now we get the 5 cards for the computer. So I'll just copy paste this, and instead of player hand, this is going to be computer hand. Now it actually wouldn't work exactly the same because we cannot start from 0, because there's not that many cards anymore. We have to start from the next. We took 5 cards for the player, so we're gonna take the next 5 cards for the computer. So we start with the 6 cards. Remember, it's a 0 base, so the card 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 are handed to the player, and the cards 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 will be handed to the computer. So we start from 5 and we are looping until we get to 10. So over here we don't even though we start from 5, the index of the card is gonna be 0. We start from 0, right? So we need to actually decrease 5 to start from 0. So this will this will give us cards 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is gonna give us cards 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, but the index of the array computer hand starts from 0. We cannot start from 5 because there's only 5 elements. It would get out of bounds. We need to start from the index 0. This basically says computer hand index 0 equals the 5th card from the deck. Then it will go again. It says I minus 5, I is now 6, so 6 minus 5 is 1. So the computer hand of the index 1 is the 6th card of the deck, and so forth until we get 5 cards. So that's the get hand, and now we can get a sum of the hand. Actually, maybe not. Well, we'll see. For now, I don't think we need to. So after we get the hand, we'll sort it. So now we have a player hand array and computer hand array. So let's just sort them. And we can just do a quickly query player, a little link. So from hand in player hand, which is the array for the player, we will simply order by hand dot. We will order by the value, and we will return or select the hand, which is the now sorted array basically. And exactly the same for the computer, query computer from hand in computer hand, and again we will order by the value, so hand dot my value, and again we will select the hand. So now this query will sort the cards. Now we need to populate our arrays with the the sorted computer array and sorted player array with these values. So again, let's just do index equals 0, and we can do a simple for each of element in the player. We'll change it to list, and within it we will do sorted. This is the sorted player hand of the index. We started from 0 equals the element, and so let's not forget to increase the index by 1. So this is basically like a for loop, but it's for each instead. And what would you know, we do the same for the computer, because the index is already declared, so I'll just delete the var, and this is sorted computer hand, and this is query computer to list. So now our sorted computer hand and sorted player hand are in fact sorted. Alright, so let's display the cards. So we go to console. First, let's clear the console. Whatever is there from the previous game, let's just clear it. And the x equals 0. So this is the basically the this is the position of the cursor. We move it left and right. All right, and this is the y position of the cursor. We move it up and down because it's y. So this is x. I'm sorry, this is not y. I forgot we didn't write y yet. Over here it's gonna be integer y, and I'll start from 1 as a default. Alright, so that's our starting point to draw the cards. So this is gonna be, let's display the player hand on the top, so display player hand. So we will do console.foreground color equals I don't know, let's just make it dark cyan or whatever for the player, and console dot right line. This is just gonna be like a header. It simply says player's hand, and then under that we can start drawing the actually outlines of the cards. So our integer I equals 0, I is less than 5, we have 5 cards, I plus plus. And over here we call the static methods in our draw cards. So we will draw the cards outline, and we will pass the X and Y to it. And we will also draw cards and the suit and value. And what we are passing is the sorted player hand and the index of I. This will, so in other words, we will draw each of these cards next to each other, and the coordinates X and Y. Okay, so now we need to move X to the right, so X plus equals, or X plus plus. Otherwise, again, we would be writing the same line on top of each other. We have to always move the X to the right. Alright, so that's for the player hand. So under that, remember the card is going to be 10 spaces or 10 characters tall or high. So let's say under that with Y equals 15, so that's like 5 spaces under that, we can start drawing the computer hand. So this is gonna move the row of computer cards below the player's hand or player's cards. And X can again start at 0, like in the corner. So this is a reset X position. And so we will set the cursor into these coordinates. What coordinates we will do? Well, the X and Y, right? And console dot foreground color, and the color for the computer could be, let's say, dark red. We have dark cyan for the player, so dark red for the computer. And again, we can just now loop and draw the cards themselves. Now we're starting again between 5 and 10, because we have 0 and 5, so now we have, well, 0 through 4 and now 5 through 9. So I equals 5, I is less than 10, and I plus plus. And now, just like we did before, we will call the draw cards. Let's just draw the outlines first. We will pass the X and Y to it, and now we will draw the values. And before we had this sorted player hand, so this is computer one, so this is sorted computer hand of the index of I. Actually, it's index of I minus 5. Remember, index is 0. We're starting from 5 here, but index is from 0. Index in the array itself is 0. We're just taking the 5th card from the deck. So that's the index of 0. Oh, I forgot the coordinates, so it's gonna be the X and Y, and that will draw the computer hand. And of course, just like before, we need to move to the right, so X plus plus. So move to the right, and the same over here. Move to. Okay, so now before I go any further, let me just see if I can draw the cards before we do the evaluation. So over here, I don't need this anymore. Actually, I don't need this either, because now we are going to actually randomly display those 10 cards, 5 for each player. But before I do, I'm gonna do that in the next video, because this is already 20 minutes. So stick around, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.